It's not every day that an established Swiss watch manufacturer sends you a $5,000 watch. They ask you to review it, be honest and share your thoughts, and at the end of it they say to you, you can keep the watch. Well, today is that day. You see, Cimier has sent me this automatic retrograde from their MasterArt selection, and the only instruction I received was to be honest and share my opinions without any bias. I suppose they're putting their money where their mouth is and letting the final product do all the talking. Let's check it out. Welcome back, guys. In a world where manufacturers are producing watches that have such a generic look, and to be quite frank, they all pretty much look the same, it's a breath of fresh air to see top-end designs that are not only stylish and beautiful to look at, but also remain fully functional. It just adds to the overall appeal and enjoyment of the watch. This Cimier Retrograde is such a watch. In 1924, the watchmaker Joseph Lepanus founded his company in Holstein near Basel, Switzerland, and began selling his watches under the brand name Cimier. That was 97 years ago. The name Cimier comes from the French word for the decoration that forms the top part of a helmet. It symbolizes the alliance between elegance and stability, and that's exactly what I have here in my hand, a beautifully elegant timepiece that exudes all the attributes of quality and stability, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, guys. But without being biased, I have to share my honest thoughts and opinions on this watch, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But don't get me wrong, guys, no watch is without its flaws, and this one is not exempt. Now, before we go to the dimensions, the positives and the negatives of this watch, let's first look at the word retrograde. Not many people know what retrograde is, so let me explain. Historically, the retrograde complication dates back to its use in pocket watches in the late 17th century. It wasn't until the late 20th century when it became popular in wristwatches. So in layman's terms, a retrograde watch display follows the path of an arc or a semicircle, and because of that, when the hand reaches the end of its journey on one side, it then snaps back or jumps back to the start of its original journey. In the case of this Cimier retrograde, the date complication starts its journey at the 1st of the month, and when it reaches the 31st, it then snaps back and begins the cycle again. It's wonderful to watch. So I've set this up to show you guys. So as you can see, the date is at the moment at the 31st. I will hack the movement and we'll proceed until we get to midnight. So there's 11:30. So if we go a little bit more forward, keep watching. There you go, away you go. So the movement has started, it's gone to midnight, and all of a sudden you can see it's the 1st of the month. And that's a wonderful thing. That's what retrograde means, and I wanted to share that with you guys. It's basically a complication that follows an arc or a semicircle rather than a full circle. As you can see on the dial with this watch, all its elaborate design and layout, it also features 3 complications. The date window, as we just saw at the 3 o'clock, the day directly opposite at the 9 o'clock, and a power reserve indicator at the 6. And I'll show you the power reserve indicator, guys. So if I wind it, you can see the power reserve indicator going up. As you can see, it's about 30 hours. There you go. And that's lovely to watch. So the watch gives you back. It's actually got feedback, which is lovely. And this is why we buy mechanical automatic watches. There's stuff that we input and it gives us back, and it's rewarding. But not only that, something like this is spectacular. It just looks superb. What I'm getting off this dial, what I'm getting off that beautiful sapphire crystal is exceptional. So it's not without its flaws. Like I said, I will get to that, but first and foremost, we'll get to the watch's case dimensions. So what we have here is a 42mm case diameter with a case height of 12.5mm all the way to the top of that sapphire crystal. The lug to lug distance I'm measuring at 51mm. However, if you have a look at the actual spring bars, they're laid back a little bit from those lugs. So basically I measure them at about 49.5 and a lug width of 22mm. So the watch is nicely spec'd, beautiful presentation, and I'll put this on the wrist to show you guys what it looks like. Okay, there you go. So that's what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist, and as you can see, the watch is beautiful. It sits superb. It's absolutely a piece of art to look at. It is stunning. It is really stunning. And guys, I'm not saying that because the watch has been given to me. The watch is stunning. It really does look the part. The colorway, that dial, the rhodium dial, and what I'm getting out of that tonality between almost a black to a mid-gray to a light gray, just superb. It's wonderful. Being a photographer, knowing color, knowing different tonalities, I'm really enjoying and loving what I'm seeing here, guys. So, but it fits well. It's not too high at 12.5. It's a really wonderful experience on the wrist. So as you can see, it's got its deploying clasp, wonderful comfort, super soft, very, very nice experience. Now the watch also features a 3-year warranty as well as 50 meters for water resistance, but it's not designed for water, as you know, guys. It is a dress watch, but it's a really nice looking one at that. Now the movement in this, if we turn the watch over, the movement is a Soprod 9094. It's basically an ETA 2892-A2, and you know what? It's top execution, guys. There's a beautiful Court de Genève finish, no expense spared, and this particular one that I have here is actually regulated, and I put it on the time grapher, and all I get is a single flat line, the time grapher of 0 seconds per day. In the real world, as I've been wearing this for the last couple of weeks, the real world experience, it yields plus 2 seconds per day gain. So it's absolutely exceptional. Really, really pleased. And you know what? That's one of the joys of buying Swiss watches, and slightly better quality than your just standard mainstream that they churn out. There's old school techniques and finishing that have gone into this, and it shows. It definitely shows from those hands, those beautiful hands, the beautiful subdials. Absolutely stunning, guys. Really impressed. Now, setting the day on this particular watch can be a little bit tedious and requires patience, and I'll explain why. So if we hack the movement, as you can see, the day is set at a particular day at the moment. So if we go past, as you can see, as I'm moving closer to 12, that day is also moving, and it's snapped. There you go. It's gone to Monday. So for me to set the day and date on this particular watch, it can be a little bit tedious. I need to set the previous day and the previous date, and then lock it in, and then progress the movement forward to adjust the proper time, and then they will both snap into the right location. So as you can see here, it's on Monday, but the positive of it, you can go backwards. So if you see it's Monday, there you go, it's gone back to Sunday. So you can go back and forth. So you really got to do about 3.5 days. There's no quick set on that, and that can be a little bit tedious. Now, what are the positives and what are the negatives of this watch? Well, firstly, I see 4 major positives that instantly stand out with a watch like this. Number 1, quality, quality, and quality. Everything I touch, guys, it feels and looks beautiful, and it exudes quality. That's a huge plus. This watch is built beautifully. It's absolutely manufactured beautifully. The attention to detail is exceptional. Number 2, the unique styling and the design. Like I said at the start of this video, guys, there's so many watches that are generic. They look all the same. It's wonderful to get something different. The uniqueness of this, the mood that it creates is superb. I love it. I absolutely love it. Number 3, it's wonderful to look at. Observing the finer details as literally a piece of art, just as the name suggests, MasterArt. There's so much going on here, guys, and yet it's so simple and it's so beautiful to look at. And that's the beauty of Swiss watches, and this is no exception. And lastly, number 4, the 4th positive, is the case finishing. The finishing on this case is exceptional. There are no corners cut. It's done to a T, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And this is one of the things, guys, with watches, that you really have to have a watch in the hand to know and feel what it's like. And this is one of those situations where I've got the watch in the hand. I know what it feels like. I can feel its weight, its build quality, the dial, the winding mechanism, everything. It's just beautiful. It demonstrates class, and it also demonstrates its price tag. This particular watch comes in at, I do the conversion at roughly 5,500 Australian dollars. So it's not a cheap watch, but you're getting what you pay for. At the end of the day, the finishing, the quality, the look, it's superb. I'm loving it. So, but like I said at the start of the video as well, guys, there are negatives with every watch, and this is no exception. And let's speak about those negatives. So firstly, number 1, the patience required to set the day and date, as you have to cycle through. So, you know, that requires a bit of time to set the watch up initially, but having a 47 or so hour power reserve, it's great if you're going to wear it over several days. The second negative I can see of this watch is basically, when I first received the watch, I went to set the day and date and time and so forth, and if you have a look at the bottom, you've got the power reserve complication down there, and in saying that, there is no scale. As you can see, the minute markers that go all the way around, they basically get obscured from this dial down the bottom here. So when I went to set 10:31 or 10:32 in the morning, I couldn't set it. I couldn't set the actual accuracy, so I had to wait till it went to 10:35, or whether it was 10:30 exactly, you know, whatever, the half past, or 25 past. So that was a bit of an issue. So if I was leaving home and it was anywhere in that range, I couldn't set the time accurately. I had to wait for the time to come into this scale. So that is a second negative. The number 3 negative I find on this watch is legibility. Legibility can become an issue in differing light. As you can see, the dial, it's beautiful, it's lovely, it's got a sunburst effect, there's a lot of tonality, but it's pretty much monotone. So those hands can get lost in that dial and with those subdials. So that could present a problem to certain people. And the last negative I can share of this watch is possibly size. Being a 42mm, look, this is subjective. The watch is lovely, I do like it and all the rest, but 42mm for me, my personal preference would have been about the 40mm mark. I think 42, it just would have been a little bit more of a refined final product. But again, that is to everyone's taste. The watch is lovely. In fact, I tried on a Zenith last year, and that particular watch was pretty much similar dimensions to this. And so it is what it is, guys. But again, that's a personal taste. So lastly, guys, I'm going to do a small overview of the company's history. I think it's important to appreciate what we have here in the hand. So as we spoke at the beginning of this video, the company was founded in 1924, and as all other watch manufacturers, the quartz crisis hit them in 1970, just like every other manufacturer. So Cimier had to develop its own quartz movements, and for a season it ran really well and all the rest, but finally in 1985, the Lapinese family which owned this brand decided to pull out of the race and stop making quartz and mechanical watches altogether. So the brand slumbered for a number of years. So in 2003, the brand Cimier was acquired, and a new company, Montres Cimier SA, was set up with a fresh strategy to buy movements from Etta and Ronda instead of making them in-house. And here we are today. And in 2010, Montres Cimier launched the Watch Academy by Cimier, and they basically offer its clients the possibility to create their own watch. It's a wonderful thing to behold. And finally, in 2015, Montres Cimier SA returned to the Jura region and set up a new premises in Biel, Switzerland. So overall, I think Cimier has provided us with not only a very different watch, but a beautifully executed one at that. Now the big question, would I go out and buy one of these if I saw it on the internet? To be honest, no, I wouldn't. Not because the watch isn't appealing to me. I think it's stunning. I think it's absolutely beautiful. But I think it's the type of watch you need to see in person. You need to feel it, you need to handle it, you need to look at the dial on different types of angles and experience and understand what it is exactly you have in the hand. It's superb, it really is. So having this in the hand for the last 2 weeks and enjoying the fine craftsmanship, the design, and allowing the watch itself to dictate how I feel after this experience, now I would not hesitate to add something like this to the collection. Even with its negatives, guys, the positive handling and visual experience far outweigh anything else. So I think overall the attention to fine detail and beautiful finishing leaves you in awe when this is on the wrist or even off the wrist. Thanks for watching, guys.